All right, first I want to find the y-intercept. I don't need to do a lot of work here. All I need to remember is that if I have a line, the y-intercept is this point right here where the line hits the y-axis. So all I need to know about that point is that the x value is always going to be 0, and then the y value is always going to be a number. So I know that's always true about the y-intercept. So if the x value is always 0 at the y-intercept, I can just plug in 0 here for x. 3 times 0 is 0. And then I'm just solving for y. Okay, now remember, the y-intercept is a point, so y equals 2 is not the answer here. The answer is that the y-intercept is at this point where x is 0 and y is 2. So this is what you should be entering on the final exam. Let's graph these two lines. This line is y equals negative 3x plus 0, right? This negative 3 has an x attached to it, and so therefore we know that's the slope, that's the m, and this is the b, so I'm going to start at 0. I'm going to go down 3, right 1, right? This is negative 3 over 1. And then I can just sketch this line. Okay. This line, on the other hand, there's no x. Where's the x? Here it is. Look, it's being multiplied by a 0. That's why it's not there. So this is a line that has a y-intercept at 3 and a slope of 0. So I'm going up 0 over 1, up 0 over 1. This is a horizontal line. Okay, so remember, this is the line y equals 3. Okay, label this so when you come back to reference it later, you can see which one's which. This is y equals negative 3x. All right. Here, I want to graph both equations. Okay, now I'm going to tell you, most of you have preferred to rearrange. So I'm going to show you rearranging, but I'm going to also show you the way that I would do it, which is, to me, it's faster. But since most of you have shown that you feel like more comfortable with this method, I'm going to show this method first. So remember, for both equations, I need to graph both equations. Okay, I have two options. I can rearrange into slope-intercept form, which is what I'm doing now, or I can use the intercepts. Okay, I'm going to show you both. You only have to do one. On the test, interesting thought, if you wanted to do both, you could, and that would sort of like check your answer. Okay, look, this is negative 2 divided by 4. Okay, 4 divided by 4 is 1. Look, this can be simplified. This can be simplified to negative 1/2. Okay, but if you miss that, it sort of doesn't matter. You can still graph it as negative 2 over 4. Let's graph it. I'm going to go to 1, and then I could either go down 1, right 2, right? And that would graph this line like this, or I could go down 2, right 4. Either way, look, it's going to be the same line. Okay, so go ahead and sketch your graph. Looks like this. Okay, for this one, I would, again, I'm moving the x, right? Remember, I want it to be y equals mx plus b. So the y is going to be the only thing left on the left side of the equation. This is minus 1x minus 4. This is a negative 1y, so I'm dividing by negative 1 all the way through. What does that do? That just changes the sign. Negative divided by negative is positive. Negative divided by negative is positive. So that looks like this. Here's 4. I'm going to go up 1, right 1, right? This slope is 1 over 1. Okay? So that line looks like this. And my solution is right here. Okay? Now, again, this is fine, totally fine. This works. Here's how I would do it, though. I would look at this equation, and what I'm going to do is, in my head, I'm going to plug in 0 for x. In my head, I'm plugging in 0 for x. That's 0. And then my y would be 4y equals 4. I'm dividing by 4 on both sides. My y would be 1. Then in my head, I'm going to plug in 0 for y. So that would make this equation 2x equals 4. I divide by 2 on both sides. I get 2. So then I would graph these 2 points. 0, 1 would be right here, and 2, 0 would be right here. And you notice I would get the same line as for this method with less work. For this one, same deal. I would first plug in 0 for x in my head. I would get this equation. I would divide by negative 1 on both sides, and I'd get positive 4 for y. And then I'd plug in 0 for y in my head, and I would get negative 4 for x. So then I would plot those 2 points. 0, 4 is right here. Negative 4, 0 is right here. And again, same line. Okay, so totally up to you. Totally up to you. Okay, but most of you, like I said, have preferred this. To me, I find this one easier. Up to you. Okay, this one. I need the equation of a line. Remember, I need two things to find the equation of the line: the slope and the y-intercept. So first, I'm going to find the slope. Remember, the slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So what does that look like here? This is point number 1, x1, y1. Point number 2, x2, y2. Okay, so that's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This becomes negative 3 minus 5, that's negative 8. This becomes 0 plus 4, okay, that's 4. This becomes negative 2. Okay, here's the doozy. Here's what I can do, and here's what I've learned, right, is I can take this y equals mx plus b, and I can plug in, this is my m, I can plug in my negative 2, I can plug in my x value and my y value. I can do all that. I can solve for b. Okay, look, I'll show you I can do it. I'm going to get b by itself. This is negative 3 equals b. But can I tell you a secret here? Look, here's b. Remember, we talked about the y-intercept. It always has an x value of 0. So when I notice that one of my points has an x value of 0, I can save myself this work. Remember, I only need the m and the b. So here my m is negative 2, and once I find that, if I just observe this b right here, there it is. Or if you just miss it, whatever, that's fine. You can plug in like this, right? I plugged in 5 for y, I plugged in my m, I plugged in my x, and I solved for b. All right, but there's my equation.